4 races remain, and championships are coming into focus in TC America, powered by Skip Barber, as the touring cars of SRO America have made their way down to Alabama. This is Barber Motorsports Park. Great to be here, great to return to this venue, which is hosting top-level sports car racing for the first time since 2016. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside, and it's Amanda Busick down in the pit lane chasing those stories for us. Let's waste no time. Down to you, Amanda, for the latest on the grid.
Hey Ryan, it is a gorgeous day here at Barber Motorsports Park for the first race here in SR America. I know you guys have a great view from the booth as well, so you can see all the fans sitting underneath the tree lines here that line Barber Motorsports Park. One of the stories we're chasing here this morning, you mentioned championships, and as Jeff Rica looks for that championship in his class, there were some issues ahead of race weekend. If you go back to Sonoma, there was a fire in that Hyundai Elantra. Similar situation here. I was told that Jeff Rica was able to get the fire out quicker this time, so they will assess the chassis damage on that vehicle after race weekend. However, it was the sportsmanship seen from his teammate and Ron Zaris that has loaned Rica his ride here this weekend so that he can make a play at that championship. I was talking to the team prior to the race, and they said, yeah, this was completely Ron's idea. We didn't have to ask, and it was just for Jeff. I have told that Ron is watching and catching this race over at the Barber Museum, where the world's largest motorcycle exhibit is placed. So good on Ron, and I know Jen Racer is very thankful for his dedication this weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. It was high drama yesterday. The car broke down on the front straightaway right by, just beyond the wall where we're looking right here, and Jeff was despondent when he got out of his car. This is the man chasing him in the TC Championship, Christian Pericarpi. He, too, had a drama-filled day yesterday, Calvin. The top 2 in that championship, it was not according to script, at least not the script that they had drawn up.
No, as Amanda's already reported, a switch of chassis. I saw Jeff just a few moments ago. I said, how is it? And he had a big smile on his face. He said, I think the engine's better. It's fresher. It's quicker. So that's good news for him. And for Pericarpi, he had the braking system going on, as I understand it, and had to take evasive action, took off the racetrack and slapped the car, but the car has been fixed, and he was very competitive here in qualifying this morning. So expect those two to duke it out, and the championship is getting tight with just 4 rounds to go.
Great to have the fans up on the hillside. Great place to take in the action here at Barber Motorsports Park. A couple of moments ago, we saw a look in the cockpit, the nervous energy of PJ Gronke in that blue Mini, looking to wrap up a championship. Conceivably, it could come today. He's already a TCB champion. He's got that on the resume, looking to add a TCA championship here this weekend.
Yeah, brilliant season, 6 victories, and on the verge. He essentially just needs to finish this race, get to the point where he scores points, and the championship will be his, which is a huge relief. You take that weight off, you can really enjoy the rest of this weekend, particularly going to Indy with the championship trophy in the bag would be nice.
We've talked TC, we've talked TCA, but the top class in terms of performance is TCX. Super close in qualifying. Chris Walsh picks up that big lap that gets him the Rover pole position here today, just narrowly edging out Celso Neto, who's been on a roll as of late. And Celso needs to finish ahead of Chris to stay in the hunt with a couple of races in Indianapolis to close out the season next month.
He does. Chris Walsh currently holds a 63-point lead, and Celso Neto's coming off a run of 3 victories out of the last 4 races, so he's closed down that championship lead. Essentially, if he was to beat Chris Walsh in both races here this weekend, with Chris finishing second, that would be a 14-point swing. That would make it 49. It would keep the championship open at least going to Indy.
And we do expect to see an influx of entries for that season-ending race at Indianapolis, too. So more the reason just to try and wrap things up if you can, if you're a championship leader here, and maybe a little more hope for those that are coming from further in the pack, looking ahead to the finale at Indianapolis. 3 classes, TCX, TC, and TCA. It is a separate start with the TCX cars this weekend given a bigger berth compared to the TC runners, and we've seen the lap times this season between the 2 classes super similar at times. I think the TC front runners are happy they won't have to deal with the back markers from TCX, at least for the first few laps.
Yeah, John Fergus, who kind of manages these guys, said, I don't want the championship to be affected by TC and TCX runners running close together, so hence we see the grid split.
Starting grid for you on screen. Chris Walsh on pole. It is his 8th of the season. He could conceivably clinch today, but he does need some help and bad luck really on the part of the Brazilian Celso Neto, winner of 3 of the last 4 races. In the second row of the grid, that's where you find Aaron Kaplan looking to bounce back from a disappointing weekend at his home track at Road America, alongside Cooper Brohl in the Acura Integra for the Skip Barber Racing School team. Then you get to Chris DeFreitas, who starts out back in TCX. He got his first podium of his career at Road America, on pole in TC, and by a wide margin was Jeff Rica. No wonder he was smiling. He had about a half a second in hand over Christian Pericarpi, who's set to start in second in the TC class. Rica's teammate, Sally McNulty, will line up third in class in her Hyundai Elantra N1 TC. Scott Thompson out back in the TC field in his Mini. Then to TCA, where PJ Gronke, the Canadian, is on pole. Of all the clinch scenarios here this weekend across all the SRO series, that one is the most likely. He just needs to score points today, and the championship is his. Hometown guy Carl Hurdle will line up second next to Alex Garcia, who once again is pulling double duty in TC America as well as the Toyota GR Cup Championship. 2 formation laps to get the tires and brakes up to temperature. It's a relatively short lap around here at 2 1/3 miles, but boy, oh boy, does it pack a lot of challenge into a small package.
Does, has quite a bit of elevation change, some blind crest. You've really got to have the car positioned well, but should be very raceable for these TC America machines in all 3 classes. You could go side by side through some of the flowing corners. It's super challenging. It keeps coming at you. Certainly it really loads that left side tire with the clockwise direction of this circuit. So tire management, even in this 40-minute, essentially a sprint race, could be a factor to victory lane.
Especially for the front-wheel drive cars. I talked to Celso Neto a little bit before this race. He's in a front-wheel drive car. He's racing with Chris Walsh, who's in a rear-wheel drive car. That third sector in particular, Celso told me, is a real challenge. A lot of long-duration corners that put a big load on those front tires.
Yeah, big time. So that's got to be a factor. Get that track position, then just don't push too hard. Try and control your pace and not overload that outside tire.
Lights are off on the safety car. Mike Stillwagon will be pulling that vehicle into the pit lane, and we hope we won't have to see him again here for the next 40 minutes, and we get a clean race to the checkered flag. Chris Walsh in the BMW is on the Rova pole position. To his outside, Celso Neto in the Skip Barber Acura. Then it's Aaron Kaplan and Cooper Brohl. Chris DeFreitas starting out back. Tom Hansing in the picture-in-picture. He's the flag man. He's got the green flag in hand as they enter the VP acceleration zone. We are racing at Barber Motorsports Park with Walsh leading the way down the hill into turn 1. Celso Neto hot on his heels.
Really close there. It's going to see the TC and TCA battle come to the green flag, but nice jump start there by our pole sitter.
And Kaplan close by as well. He was only a half a second or so off the front runners in qualifying. Meanwhile, in TC, championship leaders slot into line with Rica and Pericarpi. Rica in the Hyundai. New colors for him in that backup car effectively this weekend, taking over a teammate's car as he chases not just the Drivers' Championship, but the Manufacturers' Championship. That's between Hyundai and Mini. It's been tight all season long.
Yeah, and Pericarpi has to put the heat on here early if Rica does have a fast race car. Look, he's struggling to get the front tires to come in here through the first few corners in order to start up through turn 2, and they're in turn 5. So Christian, we've seen him be aggressive in past races. He's got to keep the heat on the championship league at Jeff Rica.
And we saw the TCA cars get the same green flag as the TC class. It was PJ Gronke in the blue Mini back at the shot there, able to secure the lead from the pole position. The fight between Hurdle and Garcia should be a good one. They were only a few tenths separating those two in qualifying, maybe even less than that. That could be a fun battle to watch as we get on through this race. But back at the front, it's Chris Walsh still leading Celso Neto. Difficult part of the track, as we've chronicled. For this front-wheel drive Acura, he needs to keep Chris honest and try to find a weakness, find a chance to pounce. And it looks like we did have a close moment between these two just a little bit earlier on that first lap. They were fighting for the lead, and this is what happened here, Cal.
Yeah, this is coming up here through that first high-speed switchback.
Whoa.
That's 10 11. Wow, Celso got really wide there coming off and just keeps it together. Young driver has amazing car control. He needed it all right there.
Yeah, Celso has been super strong playing defense over the course of his career. In fact, he was nicknamed the Minister of Defense by one of his colleagues and competitors going back a little while. Youngest ever podium finisher in the Brazilian Touring Car Championship back in 2018, but he's moved that career stateside, now based in Florida, and with big plans for the future, trying to stay in the mix for the title. The man he needs to finish ahead is right in front, Chris Walsh.
Carpal tunnel syndrome in his wrist if he flashes those lights any more than he was doing right there. He's trying to keep the heat on Chris Walsh, and he knows he's got to beat him here. He's got to keep that championship open. There's a little fluttering on his hood there for Celso Neto when he's coming down the straightaway, just kind of lifting it a little bit, and hopefully there's nothing adrift with the catch system on the front end of that Integra.
Actually, it was Chris Walsh who handed out that moniker of Brazil's Minister of Defense to Celso Neto. Chris has Celso right where he wants him right now, where he's not playing defense, he's playing offense. Chris has had what he called in a conversation with me a dream season to this point, exceeding his own expectations, getting the chance to do double duty in the second half of the season as well in Pirelli GT4 America, but so much focus on this touring car program, trying to lock up a championship for himself and for the Carrascalis team.
Yeah, and I think he's enjoyed this heat that he's felt from Celso Neto. We've seen it historically with this class, right? It seems like you get a championship leader who dominates, but then suddenly there's someone bursts through and comes through and starts to put the pressure on the champion before they can get to the title finish. And Celso Neto has certainly done that with some impressive drives. They've really worked hard with this Integra in terms of getting it reliable and finding the performance. It's been a big ask, but they're right there right now with that BMW. Very evenly matched here at Barber.
And Integra is a great car, debuted this year. The BMW, much more tried and true package when the season began, but the Integra has just gotten stronger and stronger. 6-speed sequential gearbox, paddle shift in that car. It's 200 pounds lighter than the stock version of this Acura Integra Type S. Really, really cool. Also has that adjustable rear wing and a lot of cooling upgrades as well for the racetrack, which won't be so important here this weekend, actually. Temperatures are quite temperate, all things considered. Yeah,
and a little bit of cloud cover here this morning as well, so temperatures we're expecting to be in the low 80-degree range, ambient. Heat up a little bit more for tomorrow, but Chris Walsh looking nice and neat and tidy at this stage of the game. Early in the run, of course, we'll wait and see if the tires start to give up a little bit in terms of performance with the abrasive nature of this race surface.
Check the lap times. Neto was quicker, in fact, the quickest 2 laps ago, but he gave the 2/10 he gained back up there on lap number 3. The gap, as you can see, about 5/10 of a second between the top two. Aaron Kaplan hanging around, only 3 seconds back, turned his best lap of the race, some 6/10 off of these top 2 runners in the class. Neto doing exactly what he needs to do, filling the mirrors of Chris Walsh, waiting for his chance to strike.
There's Kaplan. That sits just 3.5 seconds back of that lead duo, but doing a really nice job. Behind him, you see Cooper Brawl. Up front, Celso Neto keeping the heat on Chris Walsh. This is a racetrack where the driver can really have a big input in terms of the lap time. You've got to be so disciplined around this circuit, really position the car. It's very technical in terms of where you approach the corners, how you line up, and you feed the power back in.
Many of these drivers do not have much, if any, track experience here at Barber. As far as comparing it to another track on the TC America calendar, is Sonoma probably the closest analog?
Yeah, I think so. It has some elevation change there as well, and kind of quick flowing corners keep coming at you. You're not really resting for long around here. The straightaways are relatively short. Little twitch there under braking. You see Walsh there just trying to control that BMW to get it turned in nice and cleanly.
Neto closing back in, this time by Chris Walsh. Checks in with a 35.1, but Neto, a new fastest lap of the race at a 1:34.8, 3/10 quicker, and that has him now up just 2/10 of a second or thereabouts behind the race leader. In the meantime, TC class lead, it's all Jeff Ricca at the moment. Jeff has cleared the TCX car of Chris DeFreitas, and Christian Pericarpi finds himself quite a ways back. Now we've got Walsh playing defense here. Neto had a nice head of steam built up in the run down to Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, I think Walsh recognized he didn't get through turns 3 and 4 effectively. He immediately went on the defense down into the brake zone for turn 5. Charlotte's Web, as we call it. Celso didn't bite, didn't go for it, just tried to set up the corner, key on good exit speed. So he may be liking what he's seeing. He was conscious of the tire management, certainly in that front wheel drive Integra, but maybe he's seeing that Chris Walsh is starting to slip and slide a little bit relatively early in the going.
Well, Celso indicated to me he thought he needed to get this move done early when his tires were at their best. He might be on the back foot in the second half of the race with that front wheel drive platform relative to the BMW. Certainly has the pace right now. Quickest car on the racetrack is that Skip Barber Racing sponsored Acura Integra. Walsh with a little bobble there.
See that little correction? He's just controlling. I think the car is maybe a little bit loose on entry, and he just has to let go of the brakes a little bit, and that sends him straight, and then he tucks it in to the corner once again. So definitely not totally happy with the balance, I would think.
Well, Celso's wrist is holding up so far. He's still on those headlight flashers with no sign of slowing down. It's not worked yet, but he's going to keep at it. Gave up about a 10th on that last lap, but there's just not much between these top two.
No, super evenly matched, and hats off to the technical group who do all of the adjustments from the balance and performance perspective to get these two very different platforms so equally matched here, and both drivers wringing the necks of these race cars and getting every ounce of performance out of them.
If you're like me and a longtime fan of this championship and its predecessor, Pirelli World Challenge, and its various iterations before that, seeing touring car duels between Acura and BMW, it just hits, right? I mean, for so many years, this was the battle in the touring car classes in World Challenge racing.
Yeah, just some great names have come through, like Pierre Kleinubing, even our buddy Pedro, Petey Cunningham. So much success and this level of competition, but just the brands, as you said, have been here all along.
Pierre and Peter in the Acuras. You've got James Clay in the BMWs for many years. Even Bill Auberlin was running in touring cars for a long time, won a championship. Just a great rivalry between two fantastic brands, BMW and Acura. And great to see that battle renewed here this year with the advent of this new Acura Integra. A look at the last couple of laps, comparing and contrasting the lap times. Like we've said, I mean, just nothing to pick apart between these two.
No, they're very evenly matched, and just both of them just ran a 134.5 with Celso, a new fastest lap, just 300s quicker than the leader of this race. So nothing to choose between them. It's all going to be about that last 10 minutes in terms of which car keeps the balance.
This is the best battle on the track right now. That's why we're keeping an eye on it. Jeff Ricca continues to lead in TC over Christian Pericarpi by a healthy margin. It's now 4.3 seconds. And in TCA, PJ Gronke's lead over Alex Garcia, who's now up into second, is 2.9 seconds. Do have a battle starting to brew here, though, with Aaron Kaplan and Cooper Broll. They found each other, and they're scrapping over the final step of the podium.
Yeah, and there's such a difference between third and fourth. I mean, everyone wants to win, right? But then the next kind of level is standing on the podium and spraying the champagne. So battles for third and fourth are always super intense.
Cooper's been on that podium in 3 of the last 4 races. In fact, in the last 4, his worst finish is 4th. Kaplan's had a difficult last few race weekends, none more so than Road America, which is his home track. Got caught up in a contretemps in race 1, which cost him a chance to run race 2. Big work by that Kaplan Racing Services team to get the car ready to go and race here this weekend. He's been on the podium a few times already this season, and he's fighting hard to stay in podium contention with 28 minutes to go here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's just eaten up too much of the curbs. I see the car kind of bouncing around a little bit as he exits some of the corners when he does elect to use the curbs. So I'm not sure if just the setup is not really spot on or whether he's just being a bit too aggressive in how he's attacking those curbs.
Broll with the Pied Parker, excuse me, sponsorship on that car. That's again in partnership with the Skip Barber Racing School. Just getting stronger and stronger. Stepping up to TCX from TCA a year ago, and that is a big step. Foregoing the TC class. Of course, next year, we got the word at Road America that TCA, this class of car, will be going away. This is the swan song for this class, but TC and TCX will merge, and that will give us a deeper TC field looking ahead to 2025. Let's talk about our TCA race leader and championship leader, Amanda. PJ Gronke, always a smile on his face.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, when this comes down to the wire, PJ will be very thankful for this championship season for him. You can see all those stickers on that Mini. I imagine there will be a long list of thank yous coming from that guy. But I was talking to the Mini JCW team this morning just about PJ and heading into the weekend with 6 wins on the season, including a sweep at Road America. They said they just wanted to make sure that they crossed their T's and dotted their I's on this race car for PJ this weekend, and that simply he would do the rest.
Had a chance to chat with him early in the weekend, and look, he's not taking anything for granted. He's done the math, as have we. He knows that he is on the cusp of taking that TCA championship, adding it to the TCB crown he won back in 2017. But he's got his rituals. He's got his things that he does in preparation for a race weekend. I learned there's about 10 or 12 movies that he has to watch during race week in the build-up to one of the race weekends. So we'll talk more about PJ in a moment, but looks like these two have continued their epic scrap with Chris Walsh and Celso Neto. This was in the final turn coming onto the pit straight. Celso Neto chasing. Walsh a little wide, but Celso even wider.
Yeah, that's going to cost him a little bit of acceleration. I think that's hence why we see that gap is extended by maybe a car length or two from being kind of tied together there for much of this opening salvo. But he's just pushing. He's looking for a lot there and just ran out wide. So he's asking more and more from the car, just trying to get that exit speed through the final corner and get a run down into turn 1. The problem with turn 1 is it's such a high-speed approach. There's really not enough room or deceleration into that corner to really give you a good shot of outbraking someone. There's a lot of flow through that corner, and minimum apex speed is very high.
Second place in the TC class, Christian Pericarpi. He's had a nice stretch of races, racking up those wins here in the mid part of the season to make this championship battle one we can talk about, Amanda. What's the latest on Christian?
Yeah, Calvin slightly mentioned the brake issue that Christian had here this weekend at Barber Motorsports Park, and I was talking to the team, and they said that it's the first time that they had seen this issue in 10 years. The Mini went into what they call an ice mode. It's an ABS situation that they're not really sure the mix of variables that will make it happen, whether it's wheels in the air or load that the race car is feeling. But from a driver perspective, simply he would have been pushing on the brake pedal extremely hard. Actually, the data shows probably the hardest he can push on the pedal, but just no reaction from the race car. So a very scary incident for Christian. With the damage done to that Mini, the team was here to 2 a.m. last night working on replacing the suspension to the front and rear of that race car. But a scary incident that you have to get right back into that race car. So a unique one here at Barber for them, but bouncing back as best they can.
Talk about what it takes from a mental fortitude standpoint to jump back into a car that didn't give you the braking when you asked for it the last time you were in.
Yeah, well, I think every race driver has to have a little bit of crazy, right? So you just got to get back on the horse and go for it. He would have certainly felt that out. I'm not sure if he got any hardship laps this morning or not prior to qualifying, but he would have felt that out in qualifying, and I'm sure he felt time he got the green flag here that he was good to go. But up front, it's like Chris Walsh is just maintaining that gap. Last time across the stripe, just again, just separated by hundredths of a second. These two drivers just executing at the highest level.
The lead is 0.5 of a second. This is about as big as it has been between these two. Anytime it looks like Walsh might be starting to pull away, Celso Neto's been able to reel him back in, but we might be reaching that point in the race where the tire wear starts to come into play and the potential advantage of the rear-wheel drive platform, especially at this track, might start to show.
Certainly, crews are looking on here. It looks like the Celso's team kind of monitoring the situation, trying to look at the visuals of how the car balance looks, looking at the sector time, seeing if either one of these two drivers up front has an edge. The rear fender thing has been flared out. I saw that coming to green actually here on Garcia's car, so I don't think that's from any contact in the race this morning.
And it hasn't slowed him down. He was able to get past Carl Hurdle and up into second place. Garcia looking to bounce back from a disappointing weekend at Road America, where he finished third in the first race and had an issue of some kind in the second race that cost him a chance to score points. Not really fighting for a title, not running a full season, but he's been there on the same pace as PJ Gronke from time to time this year. Has stolen a couple of wins away from PJ, and it's been fun watching his development over the course of the year.
Yeah, he went on a real streak there, had 4 victories out of 5, and took PJ to really regroup at Road America and sweep that one to kind of reestablish himself and not put too much pressure on himself for this championship. But yeah, certainly Alex Garcia, he's getting a lot of seat time and is developing very nicely as a young driver.
As we drop back, this is Carl Hurdle. And we do have the leaders coming through. This is one thing we need to keep an eye on. Multi-class racing around a tight track like this. Traffic could very well play a part in the outcome here. But Carl, this is a really cool story. Works for Honda in their manufacturing facility located not too far from where we are here at Barber. And it's a crew of volunteers that work on this car. He actually was supposed to run at Sebring earlier in the season, but had a mechanical issue that led to a crash there. And he told me, look, we work on these cars in our spare time. This is going to be a 2 or 3 year repair project on their TC spec car that they had the crash with at Sebring. And actually, he wanted to give a thank you to Mario Biondo of LA Honda World for helping them source a chassis to be able to race at their home race here in the TCA class rather.
Cooper Brawl really putting the heat on Kaplan here for P3 and TCX. Closed down on that BMW, so we got BMW Integra battle for the lead. Now, similar situation here for the final step on the podium.
Definitely. Cooper's really come on strong this year, gotten better and better. Kaplan, a guy with a lot of seat time, not necessarily at the pro level, but he's raced BMWs and other cars in the Midwest quite a bit. Good chance for Cooper Brohl to learn from someone who's done this for quite a while now.
Run down the front straightaway. Yeah, he got through turn 17 there really effectively and immediately pulled alongside. Keeps it nice and clean. Kaplan goes to the high side. This is turn 2. And you plunge down the hill here from that midpoint in the apex.
And now it's a huge climb back up this hill. Probably the steepest incline anywhere on the racetrack. In the meantime, here we go. Walsh and Neto side by side. This is the run into the museum complex. It's like a mini corkscrew. I do think traffic may have had something to do with the fact that they have closed in on each other like this. They've made their way past Alex Garcia now, but the fight for the lead is not over.
Yeah, and how desperate is Seltzer going to get as he absolutely throws that Integra sideways there through that high-speed sweeping turn. He knows he's got to beat Chris Walsh. If he's going to keep this championship open in any way possible, he's got to beat him here this afternoon.
It becomes very difficult to make the math work in his favor if they finish in this order. Celso comes in trailing by 63 points. He gives up 7 by finishing second here to Walsh if this result were to hold, so it becomes a 70-point lead for Chris Walsh with only 75 points left on offer with 3 races to go after today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure from Chris Walsh's standpoint, he's not taking anything for granted from Celso. He knows it's a tall order, but you got to keep hammering. You never know what happens to a scenario going to a completely different racetrack, different race weekend. If Chris Walsh should suddenly have some drama, he's got to keep that championship window open. He's got to bring it under 50 points when we leave here tomorrow.
Next car that the leaders overall will catch is the leader in TCA, PJ Gronke. I was telling the story earlier. He was mentioning to me this list of movies he has to watch every week in the build-up to heading to the racetrack. And some are things you'd expect, Days of Thunder, Talladega Nights, but some are as out there as The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and Big Trouble in Little China. He was wearing a Big Trouble in Little China themed cut-off T-shirt when he was telling me about this. It gives you some peek into the psyche of PJ Gronke, I think.
Explains a lot, I think.
No, we love him. He's a great character. avid surfer as well. It's been fun to keep tabs on here in the mid-pack. Sally McNulty coming up through the field. She's up into third in class.
Yeah, I think it's Scott Thompson actually putting the pressure on Sally here late in the running. And again, that's a battle for third and fourth in class in TC. Sally's been really strong here this weekend, immediately on the pace.
There's some brass in the grill of Walsh, and we have a change for the lead. Celso Neto is through. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. I think we got a replay of how the lead changed hands, and it was traffic. Walsh to Gronke's inside, Neto to the outside. Oh, this is going to be tight. Ooh, very tight, more than tight. Contact between the two, and an airborne moment for Chris Walsh. Great save, all things considered.
Well, I had a feeling that Celso was going to be in that sort of mood, a very attacking mode. So he split the traffic there. I'm not sure that Chris Walsh would have even seen him. He's kind of so far out the peripheral vision of your side view mirrors and such to be able to know that he's there. And they all came to a big meeting point right as they turn in for that high-speed corner. Chris Walsh lucky to get away with that one, but we see a tire at the ready here in pit lane, so he may be reporting a damaged tire, or maybe it's just a team being prepared just in case.
The incident is under review. And Broll now runs in third, so potential dramas for both of the front runners. This is with championship implications as well. As they run, again, pending this review, Neto would claw back 7 points in the championship battle to get it to 56. But Race Control is taking a look at the contact between these two, the Acura and the BMW.
Yeah, there's enough time on the board that, you know, is it going to be a penalty, or do you give the position back? There's that option as well. Some stewards don't like to, you know, hand down penalties or adjustments that way. The other question is there any damage to this BMW? It's a pretty hefty hit and a wild ride across the grass there, so that can certainly change the alignment on the race car as well. But there is enough time for John Fergus to make the call and just say, give the position back. You didn't take it cleanly. Reset, go race again.
We are past halfway, which means points will be scored. 3 cars in the field in TCA. That means PJ Gronke has effectively clinched a TCA championship with 15.5 minutes to go in this race and 3 races still to run.
Fantastic. He's always got a smile on his face, even when he's not having a great day. So to potentially win another race here and with it the championship, this will be fun to listen to.
His lead is 89 points. He's guaranteed to score third place points, which is 15. And there are only 75 points left in the season with 1 race to borrow and 2 at Indy. So it looks like PJ Gronke is set to add a TCA crown to his TCB title that he earned some 7 years ago. Congratulations to the Canadian PJ Gronke. In the meantime, Neto and Walsh 1 and 2, but the review's still underway from Race Control. Neto starting to pull an advantage here.
Well, Walsh was actually a couple of tenths quicker on the last lap, so I think his car is healthy, and maybe he's going to say, I don't need no steward's decision. I'm going to go chase him down and correct this myself.
Let's get more from Amanda in the pits. Go ahead, Amanda, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I was just talking with Tony Callis. They were watching Chris Walsh come here on the front stretch just to see if they wanted to leave that BMW out or bring him in to do some minor repairs to that BMW. He said that Chris has been very mum on the radio, not really reporting back any issues going on. Tony, rather disappointed from the racing that he was seeing as that penalty is under review. You can see him there. I bet he's trying to get closer to the wall again just to assess that BMW. But for now, Chris Walsh will stay on track.
Your read on the contact, though, Cal?
I'd want a more closer, like, slowed down look at it to get an accurate feel. But to me, Celso had to go for it. There's the traffic involved. Celso had committed to the inside. And we're here in car 22, incident responsibility, drive-through penalty. That is huge here. It's about a 34-second transition time here at Barber. So the hammer has been thrown down.
That would put Neto at the back of the TCX field. So from the lead down to 4th, and the championship leader back into a position where he would score maximum points. This is, if not the death knell of Celso's championship bid, it's awfully close. He's still pushing though, Cal.
Yeah, I felt it was one of those days, kind of a desperate day for Celso. He had to try and make something happen. Let's take another look at it here, and his car's very sideways here late in the going. So this is the run. That's through 9 and 10. Celso in the dust there on the inside. I'm not sure Chris even knows he's there. And Celso wasn't up on the curb. Now I look at it again, I can see that Celso kind of missed getting right down to the apex there. I think Chris suddenly saw him there, thought, okay, maybe we can coexist here. But Celso was wide in the dust, didn't have the grip, and basically just understeered straight into him. So I think the call is the correct one.
You laid the groundwork for it, though, right off the top. This is desperate times now for Celso. He was going to have to make something happen today. Those are maybe moves he wouldn't make under different circumstances.
Yeah, I think so. You have to send it. I mean, you don't want to be reflecting tonight or during the week thinking, I wish I'd had a go in that scenario. He was very aggressive there, and I think he's coming into that corner on basically the wrong line and missed the mark, so to speak, and didn't have the grip on the front end to turn.
Well, it's going to cost him dearly from 1st to 4th and promote Chris Walsh back to the race lead. It will also put Cooper Brawl up to 2nd and Aaron Kaplan up to 3rd. If Cooper were to hold on to that 2nd spot, it would be a career best finish for Cooper, teammate to this car, which is now making that pass through the pits. Amanda.
Yeah, you're going to take a look at the Skip Barber Racing team. I did see them petition the official here on pit lane about the drive-through penalty. They keep saying it is a racing incident. I know Celso was reporting over the radio that, hey, let us just duke this out on this track here. But the team has said, Bud, we need you to come down pit lane to serve this penalty. So expect Neto as he goes through pit lane right now, guys. You can only imagine what's going through his thoughts when it comes to the championship.
Broll comes through. Kaplan has dropped off of Broll quite a bit, so this might only end up costing him a couple of positions, but at the end of the day, the biggest harm is that Walsh is back in front.
Yeah, it was a tall order. I mean, we're trying to like work the math to say, hey, there's still a chance here. It would have taken a disaster for Chris Walsh at the end of this championship season to lose it. But nonetheless, whilst there's an opportunity or the math works out, there's potential for it, you have to keep pushing. And Celso, I expected him. If the door was open, if there was ever an opportunity, he had to go through it. He saw the traffic, got a read on it, thought he had a good run, but wasn't quite close enough to clear him before Chris had to find some real estate there through the same corner.
It does put Neto into the 3rd spot. Kaplan runs 4th. And here is Jeff Ricca. Less than 24 hours since he was in a car that was engulfed in flame on the front straightaway. His frustration palpable as he climbed down to the car. But given a new lease on life when Ron Zaris elected to step out and give him a chance to go not just for the Drivers' Championship, but for the manufacturers, which means so much to Jeff. He's been racing with Hyundai for many, many years. Great operation based up in the Northeast. And Jeff on the cusp of doing something very, very special. Might not be clinched here today, but certainly a big step towards the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I mean, so bitterly disappointed how last season worked out, and to come back with such a strong season. Hasn't been an easy one. There's been some ups and downs, certainly, but as I said, I saw him a little bit earlier. He had he was dejected about losing his main primary car, but certainly excited about the potential once he got to drive this car in qualifying. He said, this has got some power. It's got a fresh engine in this one. This one really motors.
Yeah, his mood had changed since I talked to him this morning. He hadn't been in the car yet at that point to sample that engine you talked about. But he told me, look, I know I don't get that many chances at this. I really don't want to see it taken out of my hands again here this year. Battle heating up for 3rd and 4th in TC. Sally McNulty in the Hyundai, Scott Thompson in the Mini, just getting stronger and stronger as his first year of racing at this level goes on. And he's a busy guy, also racing in Mustang Challenge this year. He was at Circuit of the Americas last weekend racing there. He told me you couldn't have a much different package between that rear-wheel drive power plant of a Mustang and then hopping in the Mini here, but he's got a huge smile on his face, just loving the chance to race at this level.
Yeah, really nice guy, super passionate about racing, loves racing in SRO competition, so he's a big believer in what the series provides, these races here, and coming to some incredible venues. So cool to be back here at Barber Motorsports Park. It's been a long time, 8 years since we last visited here in what was World Challenge competition, obviously back in 2016. But I was standing in the pit lane yesterday with Ian James, who's team principal there for Heart of Racing, just said this facility has really stood the test of time.
Yes.
I mean, you could have said it was built last year and you'd believe it, because they really had the forethought to really build a racetrack and everything that you need to run this many race cars, this many classes on a race weekend, and give them great setup places, great paddock areas, great support system all the way through.
Wow, and the grounds are so well manicured as well. You heard Amanda, I think Amanda mentioned it in this show, maybe that's in something coming up later, but the allusion to the Augusta National of race courses, right? You hear that thrown around about this place, and there is certainly some level of comparison there. The grounds are just immaculate. You always see something new when you come here. It's a bit more eccentric than Augusta National, but that's part of the charm.
Oh, absolutely. Just incredible, some of the things that you can observe here. If you haven't been, anyone who's listening to the broadcast here today, put it on your bucket list. Try and get here. The museum is simply fabulous. The racetrack is amazing. The grounds, as you alluded to, first class all the way around.
Neto back to second. Cooper Broll, his teammate, did not look like he was prepared to fight. Neto has the pace. He currently holds the fastest lap of the race at this point. But additionally, the Skip Barber School team desperately wants that championship, and getting Celso back up to second at least keeps the potential there, but the hopes are on life support. Oh, big slide in the background there. Not sure if you caught that, but Kaplan had his hands full. Anyway, Neto now sets off in pursuit of Walsh, but it's a 22-second gap with only 5 minutes and change to go.
Yep, so it'll be a frustrated Celso Neto. I like the driver, though. I like what I've seen from him this year. Really impressive, great car control, very determined. And he wasn't afraid to win. When the opportunities finally came, he grasped it and looked at home being in that position.
Without a doubt. Had a great middle stretch of the season, did Celso, to get back in the mix after Chris Walsh dominated the early going. McNulty working traffic. Thompson coming along as well. Sally's experience is helping her out here. She was able to negotiate Carl Hurdle just a little bit better than Scott was. And Sally's been doing this a little bit longer, but also she's been in that lower class in the past, and I think that helps her understand how the traffic will break now that she's moved up to the TC class.
Yeah, and I watch her drive this circuit, and just her lines look superb, just really hitting the marks, really doesn't seem to be overslowing the car. Just that's what it's all about, just carrying that momentum through this flowing circuit, keeping the minimum speed up through some of the apex that will give you lap time.
This is such a passion project for her. She scraps and claws to put these deals together to be on the racetrack. In many respects, she's such a good fit for the Ricca Autosport team because that's their mentality too. She's learned a lot under Jeff's tutelage too, the last handful of years since she joined up with them. Just taking her driving to another level.
She really has. You can just see it there, just watching the car for 5-6 corners there. She's really on it, but just not overdriving it, just beautifully balanced, just extricating the lap time out of that Hyundai.
Thompson starting to reel her back in. They will have some more traffic to deal with in the form of second place in TCA, Alex Garcia. Again, if you're just joining us, PJ Gronke, by our math at least, the champion-elect in TCA by reaching the halfway point. Looking to cap that off with an emphatic race win. Would be his 7th on the season. It's huge for him to get those wins at Road America, his favorite track, and he had never won there before, remarkably. Hence the emotion we saw from PJ last month in those 2 races at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Yeah, he kind of corrected the ship, right? Just really got it together when he needed to. Looked like he was going to be on a little bit of pressure from Garcia, but then suddenly it's like, no, I'm the man. I'm taking this championship. That Mini working his tires there through the museum turn. Plunge down the hill there, really eat up the curbs through the middle part of that little sector, and then just try and get a good launch off.
Tell you what, Sally did not catch Alex at a great spot. That definitely arrested some of her momentum. This time, traffic breaks the way of Scott Thompson. And he has closed that gap back up, but running out of time. 2.5 minutes to go, fighting for the final step of the podium in TC.
Scott there really trying to ask the car to turn in very late there into 16. Had to like pause a little bit, hesitate before he get it carved through the corner and get back to power. That may have cost him a little bit, but pressure is still on here. And as I said, podium spot is huge. 3rd to 4th is a different taste at dinner tonight.
For Thompson, too, it would be huge. He's not stood on a podium yet in his professional racing career. He's come close, finished 4th on a couple of occasions, and he can see it now. It's right there out the windscreen. How do you make the pass? Where is the car strong relative to the opposition? In the meantime, Chris Walsh gets the white flag with under 1.5 minutes to go, running lap times just over.
He's really gone into cruise mode here. Yeah. 142 on that last lap with the lead that he has over Celso Neto at that drive-through penalty, of course.
I think he wanted to make sure this was the final lap and back that pace down. And when the white flag displayed, this will be the final lap. Chris Walsh, about half a lap away now, and you can see the points as they run. 70 points, not quite enough to clinch, but close. Just 5 away, and 3 races to go.
Yeah, I think if he just gets past 50% tomorrow, that'll be done and dusted.
Neto able to find his way back to 2nd after that drive-through penalty. That keeps him in the conversation. Championship goes on for at least 1 day more. Gronke, though, has shut the door on his opposition. The title is his as he sits in the car.
Look at this. Is Sally going to have to crack the throttle here with Thompson right behind her? Run down to turn 5.
PJ Shirley will do his best not to impede his teammate. Scott Thompson will check back in on that battle in just a moment, but here we go out of the final corner, and Chris Walsh back to victory lane. He is that much closer to taking the TCX championship in 2024. Another race win for Chris Walsh and the Karis Callis race team. How about this man, Jeff Rica? Oh, it looked like it could have been a disastrous weekend. Up in flames quite literally yesterday, but he's bounced back in a big way, took pole, and has not been challenged here at Barber Motorsports Park through the final corner for the final time. Jeff Rica wins and inches closer to a title of his own. Great results for Jeff and the Rica Autosport team. And how about this? PJ Gronke has clinched the title in TCA in the final year of the TCA class. He won the TCB championship in the final year of that class. He's making a habit out of it. He comes through the final corner and sees the checkered flag. PJ Gronke from Canada and LAP Motorsports, the Mini JCW team, win race 1 at Barber Motorsports Park.
It's going to be fun. So he's been planning the celebration.
This will be a special one for PJ Gronke, who can now race carefree for the final 3 races of the season. One more tomorrow and then 2 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, another place he is desperate to get a win after coming very close over the years. This might be the year to do it. There you see points as they stand after this race in TCA. Of course, all of this provisional, pending post-race tech, but PJ Gronke with just 75 points left on offer. His lead is unassailable.
Yeah, just a great season. Really impressive how he bounced back. Now 3 on the bounce in terms of victories, and that's the way to do it. And, you know, it's just really a testimony to the passion that he has for this sport, how he brings all of those partners, all of those supporters that you can see displayed and recognized on his race car together to make this, it's the lowest rung on the SRO ladder, but nonetheless, it takes a huge effort to make it happen. And congratulations for a championship season.
Here are the points in TC. Jeff Rico with the win extends the advantage over Christian Pericarpi. It also helps Hyundai in the manufacturer's title to extend their lead there too. But this one still is yet to be decided.
Nice job by Sally there, hanging on to that podium spot.
Yeah, really great to see. But a good effort as well from Scott Thompson, who looks like he's on the cusp of a podium before the year is through. For Sally, by the way, that is 3 podiums in a row.
Yeah, 5 for the season.
Yep. Went through a dry spell, had 2 to start the year, including a runner-up at Sonoma. Didn't have any through the summer until we got to Road America. Now 3 straight for Sally McNulty. You heard the excitement in the crowd, and look at the family as well. There to celebrate with Chris. Overall race win, and now potentially a day away from becoming a touring car champion in TC America. See on the car, we wear blue to remember. Cause very close to the heart of Chris Walsh, service member in his own right in a family full of them, and representing them very, very well on the racetrack. Let's hear from Chris Walsh now in Victory Lane with Amanda.
Oh, and there's some little fans and daughters that have made it to the podium for Chris Walsh's celebration. The littlest one with big hugs and tears in her eyes of the accomplishments that Dad has found here this season. 7 wins so far for you, Chris, but the championship will extend yet another race. Walk us through the incident between you and Celso.
Yeah, I mean, we ran into some TC traffic. I checked up a bit because I was just being patient with him, and Celso went on the outside or the inside of him, and so I kind of lost sight of him, but I knew he was there, gave him space. It seemed like he missed the apex, doored me pretty good, and I went for a ride, but hey, we kept it together, kept the car on track. I was impressed with the BMW holding up after one of those hits, and yeah, so I couldn't be happier about the win today.
Congratulations to Chris Walsh. I think you can hear PJ Gronke in the background, guys. He is standing on top of his Mini. We are going to get there for the celebration in just a second, but as we move over to Jeff Rico with the assist from Ron Zaras here this weekend. Jeff, what would you like to say to him?
Well, without him forfeiting his card in my unfortunate accident, he donated for this, but because of that, we won this race, and I'm pretty sure, if my math is correctly, we sealed the manufacturer's title. So I am super stoked. The team worked all night last night. The guys at Honda and Korea and USA, I mean, they're such a huge part of my program. This is awesome. This is redemption. It's awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations to Jen Racer. We know how important of that championship on the manufacturer side is to Jeff Rico as he continues his hunt for his own driver championship. But one driver that has wrapped up their driver championship, 7 wins on the season. PJ, you come off of Road America. There was such a dream weekend for you. Did you wake up today feeling like a champion?
No, I woke up knowing that I had a job to do. I wanted to bring it home for Mini USA, for Mini JCW, for all my partners. I can't thank, Richard of Joseph Gas enough, Jonathan Amber of Tundra TalentNet, Sean Peda, Kevin, Cabano's Comfort Food, Gareth and Celeste of Eventscape. I'm missing someone, Sid and Keely of Aletha. Man, second-time champion in this series. It just means the absolute world to me.
We know you have a whole list of people in terms that you want to have gratitude and thanks to. In summary, what would you like to say to them all?
I thank you so much. Thank you for letting me live my childhood dream, letting me do what I always dreamed of doing, and to bring this home for you. This is for everyone, and for all the fans, and for all the partners and sponsors.
PJ Gronke, now a two-time champion.
That's what it's all about.
Yes!
PJ Gronke, you are a two-time champion with a race win here at Barber. Let's look at the provisional results. Walsh gets the victory in TCX. It ends up being by 12 seconds over Celso Neto. Cooper Broll rounds out the podium in the third spot. He had a good fight with Aaron Kaplan. Looking forward to more of that tomorrow. Heard from Jeff Ricca, big smile on his face. That manufacturer's crown, so important to him and the Ricca Autosport team. Great result for them, especially after the heartbreak yesterday with the mechanical failure of his primary car. Christian Pericarpi in second, Sally McNulty, yet another podium. Then we get to TCA, where we just heard from PJ Gronke, the champion-elect in the TCA class. Alex Garcia comes home second. Good bounce back for him after disappointment at Road America. And Carl Hurdle here on home turf comes home in third in the TCA category. Highlights from race one at Barber Motorsports Park. Chris Walsh from the Rover pole position able to grab the lead, and he controlled the race, at least for the large part, from there. Great battles, though, with Celso Neto. This was on the first lap. Neto going for it. He knew he had to make the move to keep his championship hopes on life support. He was running right behind the championship leader for much of the race. Then traffic played its role. Walsh will swing to the outside. Neto to the inside as they split. Gronke contact, and the Air Force tactical officer goes airborne going through the grass. Ultimately, a penalty was assessed to Celso Neto for that contact that dropped him down to third. He did recover back to second, but Chris Walsh takes the victory, and with it extends the championship lead. He'll have a chance to clinch tomorrow in race two. Same story for Jeff Ricca of Ricca Autosport, and PJ Gronke is the 2024 TCA Class Champion in TC America, powered by Skip Barber.